Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Carla, and I have the pleasure of being able to speak with Rehan Allahwala about cultural diversity. We did this once before, and it actually is quite an amazing conversation because I'm learning things from Rehan that I did not know before. And Rehan, I'm trying to get the link to you. It's taking a moment. I'm sending it to you in WhatsApp, in Messenger.
You don't need to, I already have it. I already shared it.
Oh, thank you. I didn't know. So, about 4 years ago, Rehan and I were having a back channel conversation about cultural values. And it's an interesting topic, especially with the Muslim community, because it's something that I don't know much about. Of course, I've grown in that knowledge in 4 years, but there's so much to learn and so much to understand. And Rehan, I don't know where you want to start, but I will come to questions by what you tell me. And I'm so happy that you are happy to speak with me on this topic.
Well, I'll be happy if you have some questions. I don't have anything on my mind. You wanted to have a conversation again on this subject. So I will be very happy to talk about it.
There's so many differences, Rehan. And yet in the differences, there's a lot of unity. Your Quran encompasses Judaism, which really surprised me to see it as one of the pillars of the Quran. And I guess one of the things I never quite understood, the Quran is quite a big book, and people are asked to memorize it instead of just reading it and opening it up. What is the reason for the memorization, and what is that supposed to do for someone?
So if you remember, up till 400 years ago, there was no printing press. There was no books. So the way you would have books is you would take a book and you would copy it. I think Judaism protected it through its way of writing it into the skin. And in Islam, we believe that majority of the older books were modified, so people were encouraged to memorize it. And then there is a hadith, which is a saying of the Prophet, that if anybody memorizes the Quran, he and his parents will go to heaven. So a lot of people force their children to memorize it, like Abdullah memorized it, and they're kind of encouraged to memorize it or forced into memorizing it. And it's not even a Sahih Hadith. Sahih Hadith means it might be wrong Hadith. So that's why a lot of people memorize it, but unfortunately, it's not understood. The Quran is, majority of the people who are Muslims don't know what is inside the Quran. It's like up till 500 to 100 years ago in Christianity, nobody was allowed to read the Bible. Only the priests were allowed. So similarly now, in Islam, majority of the people don't really understand Arabic language. I can fluently speak English, but I cannot fluently speak or understand Arabic, which is kind of weird and wrong. I have studied it for 6 or 7 years. I still cannot speak in it because I don't have any friends who speak Arabic. So That's the reason a lot of people memorize it.
So the Quran is in Arabic, but memorization, you memorize something and it's there.
Let's talk about religion. Let's talk about culture, not religion, right?
Okay. In the culture, and I'm not sure this is so true now, but why is it that the ladies are not supposed to be going out of the house? Hasn't it grown past that now and moved forward?
100 years ago, even 70 years ago, ladies were encouraged to be housewives. They were not encouraged to go out and work. It's only after the Second World War that the Western civilization started to encourage the women to start to work. Otherwise, they were housewives. They were raising children and they were taking care of the farm. They were taking care of house chores. That's same culture right now in the uneducated world of Muslims, or Pakistan or India. You have to remember 60% of India, which is around 650 million people, cannot read or write their name in any language. That's twice the population of United States. Forget about education, forget about books, forget about opening their minds, forget about ignorance. They cannot read their name. They cannot see, read anything. So that's a very, 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 very large number of people. And the Indian government is not like the Chinese government. It's not as strict. So Chinese educated their entire nation in the last 50 years. India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, we were ignorant. We didn't do that. So now even a small percentage is not open-minded because there's no education. Thank God to YouTube and the internet that people are now having access to the content, and new content is being created. But books is not something which we are very happy to read. It's something I don't remember reading a book in my life. So if I haven't read a book in my life, forget about the people who don't know how to read and write. So it's not part of our culture to read books. And if you don't read books, then you don't get ideas from other people. If you don't get ideas from other people, you don't ponder upon them. And you don't ponder upon them, you don't evolve. We're still in the dark ages.
You have been an extremely curious man who has gone out and has pondered. What has made you decide to ponder these things, to be more open-minded?
I think there are lots of people like me who are very curious. Majority of them are curious. Every human being is born curious, and not everybody ends up killing their curiosity. But I had the means, I had the opportunity to travel, and travel, as Mark Twain says, is the enemy of ignorance. So if you travel, then you see things for a fact, which are different than what you're taught. Uh, so you question everything, and it's not just me. There are thousands of people like me. It's just that I have walked on a certain kind of path, which maybe they did not, and they were not as used to technology or as blessed to have teachers like I had who helped me come on video. And now there are lots of people who are coming on video. Lots of people are finally opening up and talking, and things are going to change very, very rapidly. Compared to thousands of years, it's going to take 5 or 10 more years.
What are the major changes that you have seen in the past 4 years since I've known you?
In the world or in Pakistan?
A combination of both.
See, the explosion of high-speed internet, explosion of smartphones, explosion of internet access has changed the humanity forever. And I'm sure a lot of people are still trying to keep humanity ignorant, but it's not going to stay as ignorant as it was in the past. So now people have access to a phone. If they don't know how to read and write, they can speak to the phone, and the phone answers back, and they can search a video using words. They don't know how to read, but they're not blind, they're not deaf, they know how to speak, so they can just inquire and they will know the answer of things. The curiosity which they have inside them is going to come forward and allow people to learn very, 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 very rapidly. It's just going to be unbelievable at the speed it's growing. I mean, for me, even it's shocking. In Pakistan, we have grown 100% smartphone in 1 year, from 50 million to 100 million smartphones. It's not a joke. It's a miracle. It's. I don't even believe the numbers. It's just. I don't know what to say about it. Just a phenomenal number.
Do you feel, I know how I feel about this, but do you feel that your vision is beginning to be seen? You're an amazing visionary.
I don't think that within. I don't think I want to have humanity enter into a new dimension. I want humanity to come out of its ignorance. I don't think it will happen in my lifetime because I don't think I'm the first one who desires this. It's been a desire of lots of people. But maybe for the first time we have the means to do it. A smartphone is $30. It's $20. It's not expensive anymore to empower a human being anymore. The internet is extremely cheap. All of a sudden, the knowledge of entire humanity is with every single human being. That's that has never happened to our knowledge. Maybe it has happened in the past in Atlantis or something like that, but we don't know about it. And so humanity is entering into a very weird space. And but on top of that, every single human is so different that one bad human being can just do weird things, because just like you can do good things, you can also do bad things. So I don't know. I don't sometimes I don't believe that I will see that happening, of human, peace in the world and people not fighting and $2 trillion not being used for wars. I don't see that happening. It's just a pipe dream, to be honest. It's just too big of a dream to have. Um, but yeah, it's a dream. I wish it would happen. Yeah, I'm not totally insane to see that it's going to happen, but it might happen. You might want to do that. I don't want to.
I think it will happen. I've said that to you before.
Well, that's what you think, but that's not what I think. You are thinking
Yeah.
with the heart, maybe, and intuition, not with the facts. So I am still not using full heart. I'm still using mind, and with the mind, a lot of things don't happen with the mind. A lot of things require no thinking. Just when you love someone, you don't love with the mind. You just love like crazy because you're crazy about it, not because you think um, it's not. It doesn't make sense, right? So you just know it, and if you know it, that's great. I don't know it, so kudos to you.
Do you feel, I've watching and listening to a lot of things about consciousness recently. Do you believe that consciousness is what underlies what we do in life or in the world?
I don't know. Right now, I'm very, very, very attached to this book, this Napoleon Hill book, the Outwitting the Devil, the Interview of the Devil thing. It's just insane amount of phenomenal information in there, which almost every single thing makes so much sense that it's like a Bible to just follow on blindly, except one or two things inside are obsolete. But everything else, I totally so agree with it. It's like I wrote it. It's so clearly defined, very well articulated information about what human beings needs to do and what human beings don't need to do in order to be successful. Or what is success? Success is becoming the phenomenal version of yourself. So if somebody follows this book, they become a phenomenal version of themselves, the best version of themselves. How to use your mind, how to use your body, how to use your love, how to use your desire. Everything is defined in there. There's no such book I've ever seen like that. So if you do that, then yeah, things will definitely change. And it's talking about connection of the mind and heart to the ultimate knowledge from the source, wherever that is. He says that it's coming from somewhere. He doesn't know where it's coming from, but it's coming from somewhere. We are getting information all the time from somewhere, not based on our knowledge, but based on our intuition, the sixth sense. Where is it coming from? It's coming from some higher consciousness. So whatever that is.
So if that's true and it's higher consciousness, don't you think that there is more to life than what we're looking at right now?
Of course, we don't understand anything. I mean, we're just like cockroaches. We really don't know anything. We think we know something. We don't know anything. As far as I'm concerned, I think it's a game we are inside and just leveling up one game at a time every year, every knowledge. It's like I'm inside a Mario Brothers game. Literally, I'm being played. And I have to just smile and say, hey, okay, I'll do that. There's nothing more I can do.
And how does that make you feel?
Not so good.
What makes you feel good? If you don't want to answer that, that's on air, that's fine.
I don't know the answer to that.
Because I've watched you in the past 4 years. And you seem to have developed a new way of looking at life.
Maybe. I'm not sure. I don't remember how I was 4 years ago. My memory is weird now. I seem to forget a lot of things, and it's like it never happened. It's like watching a movie when I sometimes watch my old video, and I don't remember a lot of things, and I'm happy with it. I have no problem with forgetting those things. They were probably not that important. Even if they were important, they're not good tool right now for whatever I'm supposed to do in the world, in the life which I have left.
And what do you want to accomplish at this very moment?
Life is life. I'm just living the life. I have no idea what the game, the controller of my life is playing. He's just playing me, and I'm just following orders. So I'm just following orders. Every day is like a, surprise.
But that seems to be the more positive way to look at life, many people say, oh, I'm worried I did this in the past and this is horrible. And I broke up with my best friend because I did this. And of course, it all works out. Or they're worried, should I say this to someone? Or should I go after this new thing that I really want to accomplish? Isn't being in the present moment more satisfying?
How is this a cultural conversation again?
I don't know how it got here, but it did.
Let's go back to the cultural difference.
Well, that's the whole point. Are there really cultural differences, or are we actually related to each other?
What
Are
is
we
culture?
so
Culture
connected
is
to each other that we know what's going on?
what is culture? What is culture? Define it.
Well, I almost want to go to YouTube to Google and get a good
I
definition.
just Googled it. Culture is an umbrella term which encompasses the social behavior and norms found in human societies, as well as the knowledge, beliefs, arts, laws, customs, capabilities, and habits of the individual in these groups. So you and I actually live in a different culture. You live in multiple cultures, right? You live in a culture of my mutual friends. You live in a culture of wherever you live in the US. You live in a culture of your family. We all have multiple circles, right? So we are a sum of all those cultures. Now, the reason I started the 500 mutual friend, well, I didn't start it for that reason, but one of the things which I was thinking to achieve out of this is to build a whole new community, totally different community, totally new culture, totally new country, literally, set of people who think in a certain way. And that's what it is becoming. I want to make it more and more into a new kind of culture. Facebook has created a new culture, and within that culture, there are lots of different cultures. So if somebody is within a group of Facebook, there's a culture within that group also. So today, there's hundreds of parts. We are parts of different cultures. I'm part of so many cultures. You're part of so many different cultures. So wherever they're overlapping and we're okay. But as humanity, we are creating a brand new culture because of the internet. We are like within my community, within my network, the culture of interview is normal now. Culture of doing videos is normal now. Culture of adding people as friend and introducing themselves and blah 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 is all becoming normal and normal. What is normal? Normal is what majority of the people who are part of that group do. So within our culture, within our community, it's a normal thing to do this kind of conversation. Within other people who are of your age, it's not normal still to do all this, what we are doing. So we are abnormal in their culture, but we're normal, or we're actually fantastic in our culture because we do it more. So what is culture? I mean, you have your own culture, I have my own culture. We have the power today to have our own culture. And I was watching this video, really, really wonderful video on the old kind of human beings, why we are lonely and why we yearn to be with other people. And it made so much sense that, we needed to be with other people, otherwise we would be dead. There was no way to survive. There was no police system there. You had to be within the family. You had to be within a set amount of people. Like in Pakistan, for example, that's the kind of culture you can understand. Maybe that if, for example, we have this guy whose name is Jabbar, who lives in a village with 100 people, 150 people, exactly how it used to be thousands of years ago. Now he's part of that group, and if he disconnects from that group, he will die. There's no way of survival, because within that group there's a whole, it's like a family. It's everything is within that group. So in the past, there's like hunter, there's a cooker, there's a milk guy, there's a blah blah blah. It's duties taken care of. You don't just don't call 1-800 plumber to get your plumber. You call the guy. There is no calling. You just literally call the guy. Hey, come on over, fix my plumbing, and there is no plumbing. So he has a different culture. I have a different culture. People who only use WhatsApp have a different culture. People who use only Instagram have a different culture. It's culture is defined by communication, how we communicate and how we live. So today, a lot of people are creating their own cultures, their own way of living. So
Now you created Insan Party. Isn't that a culture of itself in order to bring the global community together? I know you say it's originally for Pakistan, but it's moved out of Pakistan too.
Insan Party is democracy upgradation. That's all it is. It's a new kind of democracy being created. Somebody created the way democracy is today, right? So we need to upgrade it with the power of technology. And I'm sure there are other people working on it, but here is another way of evolving the democracy in the world. In the future, a person who is a nobody sitting in the middle of nowhere in the world can be a global human leader. He might be a singer, he might be a thought leader, he might be an engineer. Just because he's on Twitter and YouTube and Facebook, he can have 100 million followers all of a sudden, and he will be changing the way people think. That's the new reality of humanity. A king did not have so much power, which today a person with 100 million followers can have. The influence, the power of influence is coming out. And the power of influence creates wealth. I can issue Rehan coin and it can have instant value. Just like Elon Musk created Dogecoin, it just had instant value just because he had influence. So the new currency is influence. The new power is influence. The new, we used to have bombs and everything. Now we have followers to show our strength. This is our strength. And I kind of started feeling this 10 years ago. And said, so I created a large following. From that time, I spent a lot of money at that time to create a following, so that because I knew 10 years from now, it will be like television, very, very expensive to buy following. And now I have 1 million people who follow me, and it's my asset, which as I created. It's like buying Bitcoin when it was cheap. Same thing, I bought followers when it was cheap. How do you create followers? You advertise, you say out loud. How do you create customers from Coca-Cola? You put advertisement everywhere, and people just buy Coke. They don't buy RC Cola, they buy Coca-Cola because Coca-Cola is famous.
You brought some new questions to my mind. But okay, we create our followers, and I'm ever thankful I went from 3,000 to over 19,000 followers since I've known you. And I know it's good to have followers, but people who are following, what do they actually give to our lives? What value is that?
The value of influence, Carla. It's people listening. They buy your product, they buy your idea, humans are buying trust. We sell trust. What does the $100 bill say? the person who is holding this, the state bank, the Federal Reserve guarantees the gold equivalent to that amount of paper. So they're basically buying trust. It's a value of trust. You build trust, and then you don't betray that trust. It's not like you're trying to sell them something wrong. It's just that you're selling them or giving them your ideology, your value system. What is culture? People follow a certain value system.
People have said to me, and this is going a little away from culture, but also it's still there. People have said, "Oh, you have 19,000 over 19,000 followers. You must be earning money." It isn't happening. What is it that turns the value into value that can be seen or value that can be felt? I know that I'm doing something well. I'm not questioning what I'm doing. It's not the same.
This is not a monetization conversation. I think it was a conversation about the cultural differences. So I will request you to keep it there.
Thank you. What is the cultural value of followers? I haven't met.
Whatever you want it to be.
You said you have 1 million followers. I'm one of them. What has having so many followers done for you?
I thought we were discussing cultural differences. This is not a culture. Takes years and years to form. This is something of more of a social media value rather than or an influential value rather than a cultural difference. Culture is something old already, right? It's cultured over the years. Followers value is relatively a new thing, right?
So what, I'm not saying this correctly because I mean to keep it in the cultural value. What is the cultural reason that someone would pick one way of life over another? If they're saying, "Hey, I want to move to the United States," I hear that a lot on the English show. And I'm like, but you have a culture in your own country. Why do you want to move? Why do you want to escape where you are from? Is that clear? Or is it getting clear?
I think people have their own value system also. And based on the value system they have for themselves. So maybe somebody grew up watching Knight Rider or Airwolf or, I don't know, Samantha Fox, whoever she was watching up, desire that he cannot get to see Samantha Fox in Pakistan. So he wants to move to the United States so he can meet Samantha Fox or hang around people like that or have a nice house or have roads like that. So that's the ideology which is implanted through Hollywood in their minds, which Hollywood has exported the United States culture. McDonald's exported the US culture around the world. And now they want to move to that country where it comes from. So it's a desire, not a culture they're looking for. They like that culture. They want to hang around people like that. It's simple as that. And that's why they want to move. So, if there's a gay guy in Pakistan, he can't even live by law. He cannot survive there. So he will move to the United States or Sweden or wherever the gays are allowed. And similarly, if a guy in America becomes Muslim and he wants to have 4 wives, he cannot have 4 wives in America. He has to move to Pakistan. So the cultural value of Pakistan becomes higher for him. So he moves there. It depends on the person. It's their own personal desires, I think, or value system.
Okay. I know that you did not want to talk for very long, and I think I've kept you longer than you wanted. Can we take this offline for a moment, please?
Okay.
Okay, thank you folks for watching, and I'll be back again.